Welcome to Let Freedom Ring. Before we get into anything, this episode is dedicated to Hollywood actor, icon. James Caan passed away today. Godfather, Misery, Elf, the list goes on. Just an iconic actor, and sorry to lose him. We're losing a lot of legends lately. We do have security here. We're keeping Nick out of the studio. We don't want any issues with him. Again, he's not returning my calls or texts or anything. I'm trying to get to the bottom of what exactly is going on here. Why do you attack me? Why are we being restricted on the table? We just want to get to the bottom of it. We do have Karate Kid represented. I know one of them is Donatello. The studio hasn't said anything yet. But anyways, I want to get into this. My guest this week, making his earth-shattering record appearance. There's been so many. I've lost count. Bobby Beaulieu, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So we want to get into it. How you been since your last episode? On the 2-year anniversary where this assault happened.
I've been good. Not much has changed. We're back in the office, so that's changed. But other than that, softball season. We're halfway through the grind to the Worlds, so it's a fun time of year.
Yeah. How is softball going right now?
Good. 603 won our bid. I think we're ranked 3rd in the state. There's us, Jade, and those wily Grizzlies. Dylan for C's, by the way. League ball, pretty good. Playing for the VFW up in Merrimack. It's good.
Awesome. Now there was a little AllStar game last night in Merrimack. I didn't see you in it.
It's political.
Okay.
I don't want to discuss it. Sean Rand, Benny Call, and Josh Moore represented our team. I don't know. I think it's political. I feel like I'm heading pretty well.
I got to ask some questions on this.
Yeah.
Is it Jimmy O'Connor?
Yeah.
Is he the president of the league?
Yes.
And he wins the All-Star MVP?
Yes.
Does anybody want to that's like, it seems controversial in some ways that the league president.
It's very controversial. Kevin Hill was, I think, 5 for 5 or 6 for 6.
Yes.
When I popped in the live stream, he was on base every time. I don't know if he was ballot boxing stuffing. I don't know, or if he just had more friends there. I don't know, but it's suspect.
Did they vote on this on an app or?
Yeah, you could vote on an app or like up in person or whatever. They did. They did raffles
so,
too.
There's a lot of ways to. We got to questioning this a little bit.
I don't want to bring up rigged elections again.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been dealing with that for 2 years, but I would like the balance recounted, at least an investigation from the board into this, because it is suspect that the league president was then named All-Star MVP.
Yeah, it looked like a very cool experience. The pictures looked really cool.
Yeah, they do look different.
I found that interesting.
Yeah, the last 2 years, we haven't had that break in the league All-Star game. It's been that 3-game series against Rochester. I don't think that's happening anymore. We dominated Rochester in 3 straight games last year, so it wasn't really competitive. So I think they've gone back to the just Merrimack League, All-Star game. I don't like it because I had a whole week off. So now it's like, okay, I haven't seen any balls in a couple days.
So did they build, was that built into the schedule? Like, this is what we're going to, they're playing that before or in Rochester?
No, they've always had this. The All-Star game was always built in before the last 2 years. The last 2 years, we've just kind of rolled straight through and did the All-Star game after. This year, it was built in the 4th of July week, because it falls on a Monday.
Because we're trying with Sunday Coa to have an All-Star game with the Franklin League. I got to talk to the president there. He's been on the show, Kyle Kaplan.
Yeah.
I don't know. We probably need a central location because they are so far apart.
Yeah, how far away is Franklin?
It's a good chunk away.
Yeah,
it's probably like an hour and 15.
Is it 22 or 23?
You just go right up the high. It's like going towards Plymouth State.
Yeah. What you should do is rotate every year. One year you go up there, one year they come down here.
Well, the first year is going to be tough. Who's going to want to do it? Can I get people from our league to go up there?
Yeah, and they got to pick the weekends. You're getting to a tournament-heavy weekend.
Well, no, we want to do it after the season.
Like in September?
Probably September, October.
That's really tough.
So.
That's tough to get people to come back. October you have all those charity tournaments. September you have the World's preps.
We're gonna have to just set a date and then get people involved because each week in the league I am finding out who the player of the week is for each team. So we're trying to figure out who these all-stars are going to be.
Yeah, I thought you were posting the player of the weeks. I feel like I haven't seen that.
Yep, it's up there. Someone hit me up. They go, hey, we're looking for the standings. Standings were posted on Monday. Every Monday, I have everything done.
Do you pin it to the top?
It's just a new,
Yeah, because sometimes if someone comments on other posts and they get too long, your new post gets pushed down regardless. So you got to pin it to the top.
They're all there. So anybody in Nashville Sunday Co-ed, everything's there.
Yeah.
You just got to look for it. A couple of weeks, we're heading to Cooperstown. It's been a little while. Well, I guess only a year since we've been there. You ready for the induction of David Ortiz?
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be weird, though, because I know there's other, like, inductions. Like, they're not players. It's basically, like, managed or whatever. And but it'll be like a Red Sox, like, party for a weekend because it's just David Ortiz. It's going to be cool. I think he earned it, to go by himself. I know some people were worried that he may or may not have used steroids. There's no, proof.
We got popped in 03.
And a test that wasn't illegal at the time.
Yeah.
Right? That was just to see what the world was at that time. Didn't test positive any other time. So.
I think he had a pretty clean thing, but I also, where I stand on the steroids thing is I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care either.
Like, I want to see the players I cared about in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And right now, it's like, man, you really my whole childhood was almost wiped out.
It's funny how fraudulent the Baseball Writers Association of America is because they were there and saw it and witnessed it, and now they're like having this conscience check to say, oh, well, you can't get in. You got people like Tony Maserati on the radio spewing hatred, and then other people who have ballots that they're voting for and haven't written about baseball in 22 years. It's like, why do they have a vote?
Yeah, it's frustrating. You were hoping that the next, because our generation's starting to take over.
Yeah.
We're well into our 30s. It's going to be those writers coming in, and it's still not really flipping it. I was afraid David Ortiz wasn't going to get in.
So yeah, I was nervous at first, but then like there's a tracker on Twitter that does a whole Excel spreadsheet because they start releasing ballots early, so you can get a count. So at one point he had like 85%, so it was going to take like 150 ballots to say no for him to not make it. So I was like very aware that he was going in by 2 weeks before the process kind of came out. But I think at some point, why doesn't the MLB just take it? Like, why doesn't the MLB have their own Hall of Fame and do it? Like, why does it have to be the Baseball Writers Association of America?
I don't know. I don't want to see Cooperstown change at all, but it is getting to the point.
MLB goes, we'll do our own thing in Cooperstown. Go to Oriento or whatever it is.
Or Oneonta?
Orienta, yeah.
Yeah, I would hope so. But I'm very excited about that weekend.
Yeah.
Been asked to play in a bunch of tournaments. I'm like, ooh, I can't. I will be gone.
Yeah, it's the Firecracker weekend too. I was like, I hate that tournament anyway. So.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Let's get into the news. We've stayed away from this topic on the show. I know it's a little heavy hitting for a lot of guests, but I figured the all-time record holder of the show as being a guest and has hosted the show. Supreme Court has overturned Roe versus Wade. Now it's going to be left up to the states. Something I never thought I'd actually see in my lifetime.
I called it when Bernie Sanders ran for president, that whole Hillary Clinton saga. I was like, that's it. It's gone. Too many judge seats. Like that election will be. They say a lot that on elections, this is the most important election ever or whatever. That 2016 election is actually one of the most important elections of the last 100 years. Donald Trump got 3 nominations, including one he stole from Obama.
I wouldn't say Trump did because I think the Republicans did. Trump was just the president.
Yeah, but he's the president, so it's always going to be associated. That will always be known as the Trump era.
3 picks is a lot for any president.
He should have had 1.
The fact is, we let a reality TV show host, because that's exactly what he is. I mean, Trump gets a lot of credit for, he ripped off the city of New York so many times. A lot of stuff he did is just very, very sketchy.
Yeah.
What brought him back to the forefront was The Apprentice.
Yeah. The show was terrible, by the way.
And that's what brought him back. Because he ran for president in 2000 with the Reform Party. They were supposed to be a big thing. And everything he accused Pat Buchanan of, he actually ran on in 2016.
Yeah.
Calling him a racist and everything and all this stuff. So the Trump stuff is always going to be weird, but it's crazy that he got all these and now it's overturned. And seeing people on Facebook who voted for him upset about this, and I go, you voted for it.
What did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I know Amy Barry Coleman and the drunk guy, Brett Kavanaugh, said that,
I love beer. I always have.
Squeak. They said it was precedent on precedent, but I was like, their voting record or their judging record showed that they were pro-life, not for versus Wade. But Amy Barry Cohen actually never even said it. I don't even know if I'm saying her name right, but she never even said, like, really about it. So I don't know how you could elect the person and not know that when he got the first seat that was stolen from Obama, that was not allowed to be, they wouldn't allow the nominee to go in because it was election year, yet RBG dies like 7 weeks before the election and they forced it through. So it's like, one, you're freaking hypocrites. And two, that those three people were all anti-abortion. So it was going to happen.
I don't think the Supreme Court, man, has way too much power and their lifetime appointments. I never think it's good to be leaning on one side or the other. I think that's just so goes against the whole idea of this country.
The court, unless they add justices, because we have 13 precincts now, not 9, it will be a conservative court for the foreseeable future, at least 2 decades.
And it sucks because it does not feel like that's what the majority of Americans wanted.
It's not.
This really just affects people, people in poverty, poor communities, people not with the opportunities that we. Obviously, it's not going to happen in New England.
Right.
But if you're that poor girl,
that's not true. Right now, it can't. But as things go through and things get pushed through, it could become a law at the federal level to be.
I say good luck with that.
All they need to do is get more than 60 seats, and it could become a law. If they get the House and the Senate, it could become a law. And that is the end agenda of the Life Party, or whatever you want to call them, the pro-life people. That is the end goal, is to ban abortion and contraception nationwide.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But I truly didn't think this would get overturned, and I understand it's just the states. I can't see that going on a national level. You will have states fighting back.
It's even complicated than that because now states can sue other states and try to extradite people from state to state. So now other states have to put in laws to say, we won't extradite to this state. But then it's like something happens for another charge, like a gun charge or whatever, and they go, we want to extradite him back to our state. They go, well, we're not letting you extradite a pro-life state. Well, like, we're not extraditing this person to you because you won't extradite under the rules of our abortion laws. Now, I don't know how you get around the divide that is in this country between this.
It's like living in 2 different countries. But I don't think it'll ever be on a federal level. States will fight that.
There's not much probably they can do. Because if it gets passed at a national level, right? Say it gets past the Senate, the House, a new what's his name? DeSantis wins, or whatever's that guy name in Florida wins the presidency, signs it into law, then they fight it. It ends up in the Supreme Court that already just basically said they're pro-life. They annul it. They put it in place.
We'll have to see. I don't think that could happen personally, and I think states
People
will
just. People say the same thing about Roe versus Wade. That's the problem.
I think states will still fight that because right now, you're pleasing the states that really do want that. Not everybody in their population does.
Right.
But a state like Alabama, that's what they really want. That's what they really want.
Not the majority of their population.
At least their politicians. I do believe that. I do believe though that there are states where the majority of people do believe that they don't like, and I'm talking majority of the state. Don't believe in abortion and don't want it, or the pro-life, I guess is what the word we're looking for.
Right.
And which I hate that word pro-life.
I
hate that saying pro-life because it's such bullshit, especially on the conservative side.
Right.
Because if you're gonna be pro-life, be pro the whole life. You don't have people have babies and then you don't care about them.
Right.
You can't be anti-welfare and anti-abortion. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
So I feel like this whole thing is just a crock of shit.
Yep. Most of those states, too, that just banned abortion don't have laws for maternity leave. Like, there isn't, like, allowed maternity leave.
They don't care.
So, like, the person's screwed if they didn't want to be in the situation.
Yeah. No, it's unfortunate. The whole thing's unfortunate.
The whole thing is just crap, because in the same week where they said that abortion was not talked about in the Constitution.
Sorry for my language, Colin. I hope we can edit that.
That in the Constitution that there's no reference to abortion, which is one of the reasons why they overturned it. Right, to push it back to the states. That same Constitution does not say you can conceal a weapon. There's nowhere in the Constitution it says you have the right to bear arms. New York was trying to pass a law about concealed weapons. They weren't going after guns. They weren't trying to ban guns. It was a concealed weapon law, and they overturned it saying it was unconstitutional by the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment does not state that you can conceal a weapon.
All we have is just people manipulating their interpretation of what was written in there.
In 1791.
So we're continuing to see it's unfortunate. I feel bad for the people that are going to be in tough situations because of this. It wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
And for those people out there that did, and I guess we're getting a little political today. For those people that did vote for President Trump, I know if you lived in New Hampshire, still went the other way. But I mean, for those people that are mad about this, you did you did vote for this.
Yeah.
So I really don't want to hear it. That you have to look at the whole. That's my thing. That's where it gets tough for me with voting is you have to look at the whole agenda. Not you can't just pick like this, but I don't think that works in our system. I know people hate the two-party system, and I'm not a big fan of it either. But at the same time, you have to look at where does my worldview fall when I'm actually voting at the ballot box?
Right.
It can't just be well, I like that he said this, but now you feel the consequences of something else. Mm-hmm. And it can happen on both sides, but it really has to fit your worldview when you actually are going into that voting booth, in my opinion.
It's just really tough because
I think people that just don't care. They don't vote at all.
Well, you get the people who just don't really look at it. They go, I'm a Republican, but don't really have any real reason to be a Republican, or I'm a Democrat, and they don't really have any real reason to be. They just vote and they vote, but they don't really look into it. The other problem is that you only have two parties, so there's no I'm a middle person. I'm not far right, I'm not far left. I'm dead center in the middle on most things. So it's I don't really have a party. So it's I had to follow an agenda based on what I'm looking at.
I think most people fall in the middle, but those people that are rah one side.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to own the side that
changed
chose.
it.
That changed that particular thing,
And then what's next? We won't know till December. That's next time there's some court.
I did see. This is how stupid some people are, though, and I saw people blaming Biden for this. And
that makes no sense.
You don't understand. Please, I beg of you, take just a basic class on government.
Stop watching TikTok.
Yeah.
Stop watching TikTok and Instagram. There are these videos get out there.
It's just I love the country, love it, but man, there's some dumb people.
Yeah. Well, did you see the post that was going around on Facebook about if you need to go camping in another state that doesn't allow camping, I'll bring you there? They were doing that because the algorithm of Facebook was blocking pro-choice posts, but pushing the algorithm up of pro-life because they were saying they were pro-life and they were pro-choice and they were taking the abortion stance, and Facebook was blocking pro-choice posts. So then you had to do these other things. Not that someone's going to use your Facebook post for a legal situation to sue you. That's not true. That's not something they can do. But
it's just crazy, and it's something we need to touch on the show. I think everybody that knows me knows exactly where I've stood on this issue since forever. Again, I don't like the saying pro-life, because I do think that makes people, and again, some of the debate is, when does the life start? That I'm willing to have.
The problem is that people don't even understand that. Some of these laws are, abortion can't happen after 6 weeks. It's not 6 weeks from conception. That's not 6 weeks from then. It's 6 weeks from the end of your last cycle. So that means by 2 weeks after you've conceived the child, you've already hit the 6 week limit. So you can't get the abortion basically after 2 weeks. So unless you're looking for it, unless you're actively, checking for that stuff, there's no way you would catch it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But again, you pro-lifers out there, if you are actually pro-life, back up what you say.
I'm pro-women's rights. That's what I am. I don't even pick pro-choice or pro-life. I feel like it's a woman's choice. It should be up to them.
And I think that's a fair enough way to put it and leave it at that. But again, some people don't want to do that.
Yep.
Brittney Griner, WNBA player. You heard about this?
Yeah. I've heard all about this.
She's in Russia. I don't know why she was in Russia.
She plays for a basketball team in Russia during the offseason of the WNBA. The WNBA players are paid so little that she has to go to Russia after the offseason of the WNBA to make enough money to support her lifestyle to keep playing basketball.
So she got nailed with a vape that had some...
3 cartridges. with everyone's saying marijuana. It was most likely CBD,
Yeah.
which is illegal in Russia, but it's used for sports players for muscle pains and things like that. That's what she was using that for.
So she's looking at 10 years. Should the U.S.
10 years forced labor.
Should the U.S. step in? I mean,
They are. They're trying to, but it's more complicated than that. I've seen the post where it says, if this is LeBron James, we would get him out of there. The difference is LeBron James's organization can pay them enough that they don't have to do this. So, like, that needs to be fixed. They shouldn't have to go to Russia to play basketball to make enough ends meet.
well, it's supply and demand, though.
Well,
Not enough people are watching the WNBA to
right.
make enough money there.
But they got to find the right markets.
That's possible. I mean, LeBron James is worth $1 billion because that's what people want to see.
Right.
That's like me saying, like, I can't believe, and I'm not crapping on the WNBA, but that's like me saying, well, the MLR guys should be paid more money and not have to play anywhere else. But you gotta make money to spend money.
I understand that, but the NBA pays for the WNBA in full. The WNBA doesn't make money. It's all facilitated by the NBA. The NBA is a multi-billion-dollar, well, probably almost $1 trillion organization. They could put more money towards the WNBA to help it grow. They don't want to. They don't want to go over $100 million every year to the WNBA. And so that's what's kind of where they don't have the wiggle room to grow.
But my thing is the WNBA has been here since like '97 and hasn't really caught on.
Again, there's a limit. They don't have the money. They don't have the funding.
It's a tough call.
I will say the WNBA, from a technical standard, is far better basketball than the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really watched it or anything like that. And I understand where she's coming from, where she's still at the age where she can play. She probably wants to play somewhere else to make, enough money that she can. I hate to see Americans get locked up in Russia, though.
It's tough. The United States will be trying to figure out what to do. She falls into a category that it's really difficult for her. She's a woman, she's LGBTQ, and she is caught with CBD oil or whatever. So, like, the worst part is, how will they get her out? What can they trade with them? We're no longer having diplomatic relations with Russia. We're not doing any trades or anything like that with Russia. What does the United States have to offer to get her out?
Yeah, this is unfortunate, and hopefully they can figure it out. And people today be like, "Oh, she pled guilty." I go, guys, she's in Russia. Wake up. This is not the United States, okay? Like, it's
a lot harder to prove innocence in Russia.
If she even pled innocent, she'd probably see worse. You're talking about a scumbag named Putin, who some on the right tend to support for whatever reason.
That's Tucker Carlson.
He has the people that run against him are put in jail. Please, when you talk, people, know what you're talking about. It's frustrating.
Yeah, they actually, she pled guilty because her lawyers said that they might get a lighter sentence. She's looking at 10 years forced labor. She's not going to get 10 probably. She's probably going to get the minimum, which would be an excess of like 5 years, I believe what it was. So, like, that's what she had to do. She didn't bring over a pound of marijuana or something like that. She brought over 3 CBD cartridges by mistake. Some airports just flag it and take it.
Yeah, she's stuck between a rock and a hard place.
I feel for her, but she's screwed. Like, I don't foresee her getting out in the next 4 years. Maybe under the next president.
I'll have to see what happens here. Highland Park, Chicago, 4th of July shooting. Shocked? I'm just numb to it at this point.
I'm not shocked by anything anymore. It's like, people talk about Chicago being like this. There's a lot of guns and things like that, or murders, and they're like, oh, it's a Democratic haven or whatever. It's the laws in Chicago and in Illinois are pretty strict, but the neighboring states in Indiana and others are not, which is how the guns get into the city and onto this thing. So it's like, it's only so much that state can do to mandate and stop gun influxes, but they can't prevent the borders around them. And anyone with a car can just drive across the border with basically nothing and get a gun and bring it back over.
I mean, anytime there's a shooting now, doesn't shock me.
No.
I think we're just numb to it, and you have these knuckleheads that just think like we shouldn't do anything still, and it's just It's unfortunate.
He was able to get out 30 rounds in under 4 seconds or something like that.
Yeah. I feel like we're desensitized to it on both sides. It just, people don't, you see it in the news and go, okay, it's another one.
Yep.
You know. Let's get on a little lighter note because we're both rocking the NWO shirts.
Yep.
It's the 26th year anniversary of the forming of the NWO, the New World Order.
Yep.
Hulk Hogan drops a leg drop on Randy Macho Man Savage, joins Hall and Nash, R.I.P. Hall, to form the NWO.
Yep.
Any favorite moments of the NWO during that run? I mean, there was
during the 96 run?
You can say 96 or whatever. I mean, because it goes on from about 96. They bring it back in 2000 or at the end of 99. I think it's dead once Bret Hart gets in.
Yeah, we're talking about like before the Wolfpack split. Is that like
whatever
the
you
original
want.
NWO?
You can say whatever. You can say whatever you want because it branches out. I mean, we have some other stuff we're going to go over, but
I mean, I've been trying to catch up on a lot of the old WCW pay-per-views over the last couple months. I still feel like, and everyone craps on it, the finger poke of doom could have worked out if Goldberg wasn't so green. At first it had the shock value, right? Like he just dropped down and took the leg drop and gave the belt back to him. And then Goldberg could have ran through every single one of those guys, starting with Scott Steiner, but he put his hand through that glass pane window. But the Hog Wild that first year when he beats the Giant, that was a pretty epic moment. If you go back and watch, too, he turns. But Hogan doesn't come out on Nitro the next week. He's not on Nitro the next Monday. The next day, technically. So they built the suspense well throughout the whole thing. I will say the biggest flop was the Sting belt drop. That was the biggest flop.
You build something up for over a year, and you mess up the finish. It's Starrcade 97. Nick Patrick counted a legit 3 count.
100%.
And then once you do that, it's hard. You really can't go back.
No, 100%.
There was no interference. They should have had him hit with, to solve that, you have him cheat and then restart it.
Yeah.
But the fast count thing did not work when he goes 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Like one of the cleanest counts I've ever seen, probably.
What was going on with Sting there? How did Sting not kick out?
It could be on him too. I know he at that time was.
That's on him. That's on him.
Going through a lot. Like that should not have happened.
No.
But it was supposed to be a fast count.
So he was waiting for the number. So it's a mess up on both. If I'm Sting, I hear 2 and I would kick out.
I mean, they had so many botches in WCW.
Because even if it was a slow count, right? I know the botches, right? And he goes 1, 2, and Sting kicks out and he hits the 3. Then he has the screw job.
Yeah.
Like whether he's going slow or fast.
People question this day whether Hogan just said, Nick, just count a 3. Would he want to blow such a great story?
When something bad happened in the 90s and early 2000s or in TNA, they blamed Hogan. But Hogan didn't have as much influence as people really think he did.
But he was the top guy.
So what? I don't think it makes no sense, even from a dollar and cents perspective from Hogan. Hogan doesn't make another dime more under his guaranteed contract if he pins Sting or he doesn't pin Sting, regardless.
They definitely blew it, but it wasn't the only thing that Hogan ever blew. I mean, when they had the rematch with the Warrior, that was horrible.
Oh,
they messed up a fireball sequence.
What were your favorite moments? I think we've only talked about bad moments.
Well, obviously the original one was one.
Yeah.
I'd say Eric Bischoff actually joining the NWO. So at first they brought in Ted DiBiase to really be the mouthpiece.
Yeah, it just didn't work.
And it worked in the corporation in WWF, but what they were doing with the NWO, it didn't. So I remember watching, I think I watched the replay night, because I wouldn't always watch Nitro, I'd watch Raw. But then on Sunday mornings, they would recap Nitro.
Yeah.
So this is the first time I saw it, where Piper comes out and says, I was supposed to meet with you. And so I think Eric Bischoff joining the NWO was one of my favorite moments because he came in front of the camera and Eric Bischoff became one of the better television characters on TV during the Monday Night Wars than anybody else.
If Bischoff doesn't do that, does Vince become Vince?
Maybe. I honestly want to say that. Bischoff did that in '96, so Vince didn't do it for
Vince
another
does
year.
it in like the February, March timeframe with the spit in his face from Bret Hart, and
Yeah, he starts to use himself a little bit more. So
Yeah.
it's possible. I mean, it did tie in together how the NWO, in Retribution, they did that in WWE recently.
Yeah,
There's no real reason for them there. The tie-in with Bischoff was like, this is how the NWO is getting their way with everything. It's really him pulling the strings.
Right.
So I did love that. I loved when DDP got the one-up on them.
Oh, yes. Yeah, on Nitro.
No one had the one-up on the NWO until DDP said he was going to join. Flips on them. That's definitely one of my favorite moments.
That rocket fueled him. Like, he was going up, but him doing that where he hits a diamond cutter on Hall, dumps Nash over the top ropes, goes out in the whole crowd, that was it. They were like, we have money in this person.
Yeah, because if you would just had him join, he would just been another guy.
Another guy. He would have been a Buff Bagwell.
And yeah. Who actually, that's what got Buff over, if we're being honest.
Yeah. I mean, Buff had been in WCW since 1991, 92 anyways.
It was Marcus Alexander Bagwell.
Yeah.
He was floundering. It was always, what tag team we're going to put him in next?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to be in Stars and Stripes with Too Cold Scorpio. Great wrestlers. Tag team didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. Did you...
you're going to be the American Males with Scotty Riggs.
Yeah.
Didn't really go anywhere. What are you going to say?
There was a pay-per-view, and I had to remember which one it is. The American Males, or what the American Stars and Stripes, or whatever, Scorpio. Scorpio like literally killed someone basically by did one of those flips and landed on his face. I'll just send you the clip of it. But I forget his name who sold it. I was like, "You're dead," and he, pins him, whatever. I go, "How does that guy not have a massive concussion?"
Oh, he probably did.
Yeah, but it was. I just remember because I was looking at Buff Bagwell botch matches, and that was one of the botches on there.
I actually would say two other ones I like joining. Buff was probably one of my favorites because that's when they started taking WCW guys and getting them in the NWO.
Yep.
I'd say Kurt Hennig turning on the Four Horsemen was another moment.
Your spot.
So they had a lot of good things. Now, I just want to do a little word association. I don't have every member of the NWO, but I have a good chunk of them here. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say member, and first word that comes to mind when I say it.
Sure.
Scott Norton.
Forgettable.
You think Scott Norton's forgettable?
Forgettable.
Okay. All right, fair. I mean, he did do some good stuff in New Japan.
At the time, I didn't watch New Japan. I only knew him as a WCW. I know he was over in New Japan. He actually left WCW one time when he was supposed to be in a title match because he was going to get paid more in New Japan.
Makes sense. I mean, I liked him before. He was another guy that was a WCW guy that joined the NWO. Yeah. Mike Wall Street.
Bray Wyatt.
Just going with his son.
Just going with his son because that's all that matters with him. He was good. His character in WCW stunk. He was okay in WWE, but he gave one of the best characters ever because of his son.
Vincent.
Jobber.
Now it's funny because he was Virgil in WWE, thinking that they're mocking Dusty Rhodes' real name.
Yeah.
And then they called him Vincent in WCW.
Not convinced.
And he was like the bodyguard.
Yeah, he was just like, we got to use him somewhere. Just throw him out there in a 6-man tag every pay-per-view or...
Well, he fit as like a WWF guy.
He did. He fit the story. It's just that he wasn't really anything in WWE. He wasn't really anything in WCW.
I disagree, though. In WWE, he was pretty popular when he turned on Ted DiBiase. That was big pop.
For how long, though?
Maybe a year.
Yeah.
The Giant.
Underrated big man.
For that time?
Yeah.
Okay. But he was world champion.
Yeah, but he wasn't getting paid what they were getting paid. And he could
true.
do some things that he stopped doing when he got a little bigger in those early 2000 years. But he could do some things that you were like...
I thought he was pretty intimidating as the Giant.
He was.
NWO Sting.
Nothing even comes to mind. Nothingness.
Did you like that angle?
No, because it was so obvious it wasn't Sting. Yeah. I know that was the point of it.
Yeah.
But it was like...
And that's how you get Crow Sting, because nobody trusted him.
Right. But it was like even the guys were like, we don't trust him. I was like, am I taking crazy pills? Are you seeing the Sting on the other side? How at all are you confusing these two?
No, they did not. I mean, they looked somewhat alike.
It wasn't like the Hebner brothers who looked identical.
And what they had to do was like Sting started having like the brown hair, not the the bleach blonde stuff.
Yep.
6.
Pivotal. He was a pivotal move, between his MWO stuff and then to DX,
Maybe one of the most important people of that era.
It might be one of the smartest people of that era.
Yeah.
He just, he's a two-time Hall of Famer, and he hasn't gone in individually yet.
He knew when to jump.
Knew exactly when to jump.
More of a wolf pack, though. I guess when they all united, he stuck with them, which I didn't like that. Lex Luger.
Narcissist. Very full of himself. Even in that run, he was always kind of like, he was always a good guy, but like, did you really trust him?
No, well, when he first came into WCW, they couldn't trust him. He kept churning on Hogan and working with the Dungeon of Doom, and Sting was like, "What's your deal?" And I would have kept him. That USA gimmick could have got over.
I don't know what happened there.
She should have beat Yokozuna, and that was the end of the story.
At SummerSlam? Yeah.
That was a missed opportunity there. And then, they're like, "Oh, we're going to go with Bret." But I'm like, if you would have, you made this whole video package, you did all this stuff, and then he wins by count out.
Yeah.
And then you hoist him up, like, even then, no one cared. No one's ever cared about count out victories.
Never.
It
didn't matter. It was just like a throwaway until the Royal Rumble '94, and they had the whole main event at WrestleMania. But you missed the boat with him. But if he'd had one, let's say he had one, what do you do with him then as a champion? Rematch with the Yokozuna 4 times? Like, there was nowhere to go with that character.
Yeah. No, you could have feuded with Bret. You could have done a lot of stuff.
How do you turn Bret heel at that point?
You could have babyface versus babyface at WrestleMania 10. But then you would not have got Owen and Bret and a lot of other things.
The only thing I think you could have gone with is maybe Taker, but Taker wasn't wrestling those kind of matches back then.
Well, they only had one really big heel, and it was Yoko. But
that was the problem. I think that's really the major problem.
But once you didn't put the title on Luger, it was like, this is dead. And it was so weird because Hogan just left. It's like, all right, we can just remake a Hulk Hogan. I think Made in the USA Lex Luger could have been something very different than Hulk Hogan. And worked, in my opinion. Sting, another Wolfpack member. And I think he wasn't part of, like, when they all came together. I think that's where he bowed out.
Yeah. Insane. He's insane. Like, he just, I can't believe what he's still doing today.
He's unreal.
I can't believe how much WWE botched it. If you're seeing what he's doing in AEW.
Yeah, he could have done a few more things. He can't have a full match, though.
No.
I would have loved to see him have more stuff, though. I think he wrestled Triple H and maybe Seth Rollins. And then he got hurt.
He got hurt. The powerbomb into the turnbuckle.
Why would you even do that with him?
That's a Rollins thing.
Rollins injured a lot of people in that time.
That time period, yeah.
Yeah.
Ruined Finn Balor.
Yes. Yeah, then he never really gained steam.
Never again.
The Disciple.
What's his real name?
Bruce the Bar Beefcake.
Oh. Lucky. He's lucky he was friends with Hogan. Or else he never would have been in professional wrestling or a Hall of Famer.
It is crazy he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Some of those gimmicks that they bring back memories to people, so they make him a Hall of Famer.
Kurt Hennig.
Perfect. He was the perfect wrestler.
Eric Bischoff.
Visionary.
Definitely. I mean, they don't get to level without him.
Yeah, I know everyone hates on him now, and he's had some big hiccups and whatnot, but it was good.
Ted DiBiase.
Not a fit.
Okay. Horace Hogan.
Why?
Fair enough. He didn't really do
anything.
He was just related to Hogan.
He was there.
They could have done a lot more with him.
Yeah.
But he just wasn't that good.
As just another guy getting a payday.
Dennis Rodman.
Wise. He was a wise man to get into that, and a wise move for WCW to bring him in. But by the way, if it wasn't for Rodman, Goldberg gets the belt at Bash of the Beach, not 2 weeks before.
Missed up. That could have been.
That was a huge pay-per-view opportunity that could have missed. I would have waited on that, done the Rodman thing. So tough though. Hog Wild's a terrible place to drop the belt too at. Like.
Oh, they were like racist there.
Yeah.
I don't know why they went to Sturgis.
They had a partnership with some oil company that would sponsor the whole event for them to be there. That's why they give free tickets out.
That makes sense. But yeah, no, I mean, but it was one of their biggest ratings, and they needed that rating at the time because they were losing.
Yeah.
But still, that's a huge buy rate right there.
Yep.
Scott Steiner.
I forgot he was in the NWO.
Really?
Oh, sorry, I'm thinking of Rick Steiner. Scott Steiner. Yeah, Scott Steiner.
He's not Big Papa Pump unless he goes to.
If you said Big Papa Pump, I would instantly.
His whole gimmick was that he's been using now since then.
I guess I would say suplex, or that little plex thing he used to do.
German suplex?
No, he did the belly to belly.
Oh yeah.
I forget. Yeah, for some reason I thought you said Rick Steiner for some reason.
No, I don't think Rick ever was.
No, that's what I was thinking.
Dusty Rhodes.
Old Faithful.
What's weird about that is Dusty's on commentary, shocked, and like all these guys end up joining at some point. Where that's where the NWO went wrong. Was like, do you really need Dusty Rhodes in the NWO?
But it was good. Like he got people. Like eventually he left it pretty early and they turned on or whatever. But like, if you go watch Cody Rhodes' thing on Broken Skull, he mentions that.
Oh really?
That turn.
Rick Rude.
Right place, right time. That jump, how did they time that perfectly?
Well, he was pissed about the screw job.
I know it was, but again, it's like you're paid to do something, Bret Hart. Do the job.
Yeah. So the whole thing with Rude was he got one of these deals, and some other guys did, that if they stopped wrestling, they were getting paid because of some lawsuit.
Yeah, Lloyd's of London.
Yeah, so he wasn't wrestling, and he didn't actually have a contract with WWF. It was a paid per appearance. So when they pissed him off, he's like, well, I ain't showing up anymore. I'm going to go do WCW and be with my friends. And because I'm pretty sure Kurt Hennig was like his guy.
Yeah.
All right, Stevie Ray.
Unlucky.
B team. They're the NWO B team.
He was the B team. I felt bad for him because I don't know if they were thinking of bringing Booker in with him to NWO.
Thank God they did not.
I think he would have had a better run post WCW if he didn't join.
I think he was already starting to not wrestle.
Yeah.
If you look back at some of the late days of WCW, he was starting to go on commentary.
Yeah.
Like another thing, like Booker T and DDP. If Booker went to the NWO in this time, I know he goes into it in WWE, which is
totally different.
We're not bringing that up. Someone was like, "Oh, I showed my list to a buddy of mine." He's like, "Oh, where's HBK on that?" No, we're not. We're pretending that never happened.
No.
Shout out Josh Mears. But if Booker would have got, that would have been like career suicide.
Probably.
To see how great he became.
And we never got the greatest moment in wrestling history. When Booker T held the commentary mic and started beating up everyone in TNA. Oh, Booker T's going to give him the dropkick. Oh!
I love Booker T. Jeff Jarrett. Again, now this is like NWO 2000. This is still WCW when he joins.
Wine drinker. You know, like those people like to sniff the wine when they're doing that? He likes to sniff his own farts. He was just like full of himself. Like, thought he was the best, broke more guitars, and put less butts in seats than any other wrestler in professional wrestling history. His podcast is great.
I love Jeff Jarrett. I really do. And I loved him then.
Yeah.
He got over in WWF and they wouldn't pay him. He really was the mid-card.
Well, you've heard his whole story on the podcast, right?
Yeah, I watched it, yeah.
The one where he talks about when he held them up for $300,000.
He didn't really even hold them up. He just wanted
it was money guaranteed to him regardless, but he wanted it then because he wasn't under contract.
And I don't blame him.
Yeah. Steve Austin chased him out of WWE, as he said.
He couldn't get to the next level.
There's nowhere for him to go.
And it was unfortunate because he was really over as a bad guy.
Yep.
And I do think that was a missed opportunity for them.
I mean, he was a good worker. I mean, Bret Hart, you could learn from Jeff Jarrett. He did the job for China and left. Bret Hart refused to do the job.
Well, yes. Though Bret was still under contract for another day. He had to do it. Jeff's contract was up. Well,
I don't know if Bret's contract was up. He says Bret has changed his story so many times because he says he wasn't under contract.
That I don't know.
Bret Hart has said in his book where he was already gone over his dates, so he'd already technically outran his contract.
So all you had to do was leave and say, I'm not doing it.
He could do whatever he wanted.
But again, that's funny because Bret Hart's next.
Yeah. Whiner. Even though I had the Bret Hart sunglasses. Love Bret Hart. No one has rewritten history more in the professional wrestling industry than Bret Hart.
I will say another thing is this is a missed up. No, you know what though? He signed. He couldn't compete yet, so he couldn't go on WCW right away. They needed to have worked it to have him on that show that next night.
See, I don't even know if he had a non-compete clause.
There was something there that was stopping him from being on the show because, oh my God, that would have been the highest rated Nitro of all time.
He was mad. He was angry. He didn't want it. He just went away. I don't think he had no complete clause.
You know, but if
because it was well before
if that is the case, which I don't think it is, I think there was something in the contract that he couldn't do it just yet. If he was angry and he knows professional wrestling, the biggest thing he could have done was been on Nitro with a microphone in his hand, and he just never even capitalized on that. He didn't want to talk.
He didn't want to be there, and it showed.
You know, that's the difference between guys that get it and guys that, I think...
There's a documentary that he did at the same time you can watch where you can find out why he didn't go to WCW. Because it is the time period where they're filming about him and the whole screw job happens. You can see Vince get punched and everything.
Wrestling with Shadows.
Yeah, whatever it was.
I saw that when it came out. It was on A&E. Louis Spicolli.
I don't remember him.
Died before a match with Larry Zbyszko. Drugs. He was supplying a lot of the drugs in WCW.
Jeez.
The roadie? Not the roadie. Oh, God. He was with the Body Donnas at one point. I can't remember what he was called. But Louis Spicolli. Yeah, he died, and they had to, address it.
Oh, jeez. In the locker room?
On TV, he was supposed to wrestle a match. It was very much, he just wasn't, he literally was just got on TV. His buddies with Scott Hall, and he died tragically before he really had a chance to do anything. I'm trying to remember what his name was in WWF.
I'll have to look him up.
Randy Savage.
Madness. He was a madness. He was great. You can put him in anything. He's going to be great at it.
If you want to talk about how DDP got over, Randy Savage is a big part of that.
He talked him into it or told him?
He was like, DDP would tell a story where they were going to have a match, and he tells DDP, he goes, you know what? I think tonight I want to take the diamond cutter. Bryan Adams.
Canadian pop star Bryan Adams?
You also know him as Crush.
Yeah, no. Crush, I guess. He was good. He was okay. He didn't live up to his hype after he left WWE.
I don't think he had a ton of hype in WWE.
He was okay.
I was a fan of him.
I was a fan of him in his early days in '93, and I didn't mind him in Nation of Domination Crush, but
he was also in Demolition.
Forgot about that.
Scott Hall.
The best. He was the best in-ring performer I've probably ever seen.
Really?
Yeah. Him, Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect, that whole group. But he was if you go back and watch him his older work in AWA, it's and then as he did the Diamond Stud, he was getting better. But when he became Razor Ramon and started really working his craft, he could sell. He was like Ziggler. He could sell for anyone. He could just put any match and put it over. There's very few stinkers out there for him.
Kevin Nash.
Most hated person for no reason.
I don't know if it's no reason.
His podcast is coming out too soon.
I can see that. And finally, the leader of the NWO, Hulk Hogan.
If you had asked me 10 years ago, greatest thing in wrestling ever. Now, it's kind of canceled.
He's kind of a racist.
He's kind of a piece of crap.
He's done a lot of bad stuff.
He didn't do Miss Elizabeth or anything?
No, these were just the ones.
Sticking to the rest of them.
Do you want to do Miss Elizabeth?
Yeah.
Sure.
Best manager of all time.
That's interesting take. Okay.
You don't need to. So she was like that manager. You didn't need to talk.
All right, let's get into blank versus blank because that was a bold statement right there. Best manager of all time. You got Paul Heyman, you got Bobby the Brain Heenan.
They went to business for themselves every time.
Well, that's the point. They're a mouthpiece.
Yeah, she made the Macho Man better.
Yeah, I guess. Blank versus blank. First one, Metallica or Nirvana?
Nirvana. I don't like Metallica.
Oh.
They went after Napster and the whole music industry and screwed us all up. So
you don't think they had it right? You don't think Lars Ulrich was right? That's his music and people were just taking it?
No.
Really?
No,
That's the first time I've heard this take.
I'm all set on. I'm all set. I don't listen to Metallica anymore.
We have 2 new wrestling schools right now. I don't know. I know you probably haven't been to either one, but
Yeah.
it sounds like they're starting to feud a little bit here.
Okay.
Because I'm starting to see posts where it seems like there's competition. You have New England Pro Wrestling Academy or Elite Pro Wrestling Academy.
So, I mean, I had to do the New England Pro Wrestling Academy because I've known more wrestlers who come from there. I don't know much about this Elite.
It's brand new.
I don't like the idea that you're using the word elite. I don't want to sound like you're like associated to all elite. You're not.
That was the first thing when I saw the name that I noticed.
Don't like that.
Oh, you're using Elite right now?
Don't like that.
When All Elite Wrestling is like new, it's like the hottest thing. Like,
Yeah.
I probably would have stayed away from that word.
It's like the person going extreme.
Yeah.
You know?
That's like that's like Extreme Pro Wrestling Academy in the 90s.
Yeah.
People think you're tied to ECW.
Yeah, don't like that.
That's kind of, and I feel like there might be a younger audience to go, Elite.
I mean, I played for 603 Elite that one year, and then the Elite kind of got big, and we dropped the name. We didn't want to be associated.
Austin Theory or Hook?
Austin Theory. I don't understand why Hook is over. I just don't get his character. I don't like. It sounds like they're dubbing his voice. I don't care for Hook right now. I mean, he could change my mind. He's a young guy. So right now, Austin Theory.
Carmelo Hayes or Danhausen?
Oh, Carmelo Hayes. I don't really care for Danhausen. Danhausen's a funny shtick. Don't get me wrong.
You don't like Hookhausen at all?
It's okay.
I mean, I like Carmelo Hayes.
It is a great clip for Instagram or your YouTube show or whatnot. I just don't. Danhausen, I get why he's funny, but like I just Hook for me, he's super green. He could probably kick my butt, but I don't believe he's going to beat up someone else. He looks small to me.
He is small. Do you feel if he wasn't Taz's son, he wouldn't be in the position he's in?
I'd hate to take that away from him because he's earned what he's earned.
There's other guys in that company that don't get the pushes he's getting.
That is
You're telling
true.
me Powerhouse Hobbs doesn't deserve something?
There's
Ricky
150
Starks,
people on the dang roster.
You know. JT Dunn or Anthony Green?
Anthony Green. Yeah, I've never bought a JT Dunn shirt. No offense to him. I do have an Anthony Green tank top. I feel like I haven't seen Anthony Green do anything lately, though. Is he done?
No, I don't know. He, like I said, once his Facebook didn't interact with fans anymore, I haven't really kept tabs on him. Johnny B. Bad or Marvelous Mark Marrow?
Johnny B. Bad. I think they tried to capture it with Marvelous Mark Marrow when we moved over. It didn't work. Johnny B. Bad might be one of the greatest opening acts for pay-per-views in the history of professional wrestling. I mean, he had a massive consecutive streak. He'd open up every pay-per-view. He'd open up every Clash. He just got the crowd going. When he came to WWE, you're like, oh, you're kind of the same thing, but you're not the same thing.
Yeah, Johnny B. Bad was awesome.
Yeah.
Skittles or Sour Patch Kids?
Skittles. Oh, yeah.
Don't like sour candy?
Not in long periods. I eat Skittles when I'm going on road trips. So.
Gold Dust, Cody, or Dusty Rhodes?
Like best ever. What
was your favorite out of the Rhodes family?
I mean, it is Cody, and that's not just because of right now. I mean, Goldust was always okay. I never really cared for his character, even in WCW. And Dusty was just so... I have to go back and find his stuff, so I'm not living in the moment, and I know what's happening in all those matches. So it's hard to associate that. So for me, it's Cody Rhodes right now. And he might... It should be him and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. If it's not, I don't know what WWE's thinking.
All right, toughest one in blank versus blank. 2 people you know. Derek Brown or John Masson?
Oh, Derek Brown, hands down. No offense to John, but Darkseid, come on. Come on.
Yeah, both great guys.
Yeah, they're both good guys. We're all going to Canaan together.
Everybody's coming, so it's going to be a good time.
Wood bat tournament.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I was arguing with Jen a little bit today.
For the roster?
We had a lot of guys, So I was busting her chops about it, and then she's like, all right, you're pissing me off. I go, I got exactly the reaction I wanted.
Well, how many of them are actually going to go?
We'll find out. We'll definitely find out. But it's going to be a great time, and definitely want everybody that's going to come. So, but everybody out there, have a wonderful week. Keep your heads up. I'm glad we were able to keep Nick out of the studio. Thanks again, Bobby, for coming back.
Yeah, no problem.
But everybody, have a great week. Keep your heads up. Until next time, Let Freedom Ring.